Friday, and it's time for having fun with J and J. It is the last week in February, and we have had such a month. But we are still here. We are still rocking and rolling, and we have a great show for you guys today. Again, Preppers, we're all about your business. We're all about making sure that you have all the information and access to different opportunities for your business. And this may be something, I have a surprise for you, this may be something that you haven't thought about. So we have a special guest with us today. She is creative in her own right. She is a creative spirit. And I'm going to let Jeanette, because she pronounces her name much better than I do. Sounds much better from her than me. So I'm going to pass it over to Jeanette. And welcome to the show, ma'am. Go ahead, Jeanette.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for being here with J and J. I'm Jeanette. And we have a special guest. We met on a platform, and it was very interesting, and I love having her on the show because there's a different view of how we can handle business in a better way. I fell in love with her immediately. Her name is Amore, Phillip, and she is a PR consultant, and she's going to tell you all about her. So, Amore, I just wanted to let you know, thank you for being on a show with us today. I really appreciate you. How and what made you get into this business in PR?
Well, thank you, ladies, for having me, Jenny and Jeanette. And it's a pleasure to be here to, talk with you today and connect with your audience. So, how did I get into PR? So, prior to starting my own agency, I was in the fashion and entertainment business, and so those two things were my core studies, and I also worked in other fields as well. But at the time, around 2007, I was working in the architectural, or let's say the structural glass industry. And so at that particular company, I used to do presentations for architects and interior designers on the different types of glass that they would be, they had to spec for the buildings that they were building here in New York. And so during that time, the company that I was working at downsized. And when I was there, I was an account manager. I also did some marketing as well, and also a little bit of sales and things like that. And so they downsized in 2008. And what I did was I decided to reach back out to some of the contacts that I have and ask them if they needed PR or marketing, or if they needed help with events and things like that. And so I knew some people in the film industry, some filmmakers and things like that. So I started helping them plan independent screenings. And as we planned those events, they needed a venue, they needed sponsors, they needed press. And so I helped them to do that successfully. And so I did that for a couple of years, and I built up a client base. So I started planning other events. I started doing some PR and things like that. And so it all worked out. And then in 2010, that's when I launched a company. So I went from pretty much being unemployed to award-winning agency within the last 10 years.
Wow.
Now, you say right now, this just so goes along with what we're experiencing today. And you are just a shining example of a true entrepreneurial spirit. Even though you worked for a company, right? And you could have folded up your tent and said, wah, I don't have a place to go. You actually totally redid yourself, restructured yourself, did better with your own skill and talent, and created a new business for yourself. That's amazing.
Yes, I always say create your own lane, right?
And do you have an example of anybody who's benefited from your? I know you were mentioning all these other people that you really gotten close to, and you say, "Hey, this is my creation here," and things like that.
So in terms of people who benefited, I've had the pleasure of working across different verticals. So I worked with a few government agencies here in New York, as a contractor. And one of the memorable projects that I also enjoyed was a couple out of Australia, and they was a husband and wife couple, and they did public art around the world. So I don't know if you've seen a lot of these big statues like the elephants and the Wall Street Bull. They have a lot of these big bronze statues in major cities. And that particular couple, they were responsible for that. So they did all of these different statues. And so I believe they were commissioned to do some statues somewhere else. And then they were looking and they saw that there were not many statues of women, right? And so they wanted to create some sort of a balance there. And they launched this project called Statues for Equality, which was back in 2019. And they were out of Australia. So they had these huge statues. I think there was 10 statues. Oprah Winfrey was one of the statues. And Nicole Kidman, and so on and so forth. Gabby Douglas as well. And I forgot the name of the lady, but she was the one that studied the gorillas in Africa.
Oh, I know her. Yeah.
Yeah. And so they launched this project, and they connected with my agency like a year before they did the launch. And I was like, how did they find us? But I was so excited. And we worked with them for that particular project. We were able to get lots of press, lots of local coverage, CBS, NBC, I believe also. I believe the New York Times as well wrote a piece on that. And through that particular campaign, at the end of the campaign, they saw an increase. I think at the end of the year, they saw an increase of, I believe, 3 to 5% in the amount of statues of women that were now being commissioned.
That's awesome.
As a result of that campaign.
I love
it. So for that campaign, we were responsible for planning the press conference and the launch. And so we had to connect with local media and get coverage on that day. And the statues were lined on 7th Avenue or Avenue of the Americas across from Rockefeller Center. And they remained there for a while. And then the latest addition to that was Ruth Bader Ginsburg before, and of course she's passed. But they added a statue of her, and then the statue was here in Brooklyn for a while. But that was one of the projects that was most memorable to me, that I really got to contribute and really enjoyed working on.
Wow, and great. Did they just in case, because I'm a woman veteran, did they put any women veterans up there by any chance? Because we really need that.
Yeah, I don't believe any of them were women veterans. They were mostly in they were mostly like celebrities already or in the entertainment industry. So for example, Gabby Douglas, Jane Goodall, Nicole Kidman, Oprah Winfrey, and who was the other one? I'm forgetting. But I'm forgetting some of the names, but there were 5 others. But they were mostly already, celebrities that were contributing to different causes.
Hey, but at least that's come a long way, because women, is true, we didn't have no statues. Good luck with that. And now,
I think they actually just did a statue of the nurses for Vietnam. One of the latest government ones that they just put up for women. But Amore, so we talked a little bit, which I was excited for because I was losing a bunch of good stuff. We want to savor good stuff for the show. But talking about small businesses, because as we were discussing, small businesses don't feel that PR is a place for them to be, or that it's something that they either need or can aspire to. And you are so eloquently telling us why it's so important for small businesses to have some sort of PR element in their marketing and their business plan. And tell me repeat what you told me.
I'm sorry, repeat that?
Well, tell me what you were telling me before.
Okay. That's why I always say, do not talk before the show, but nobody listens to me, right?
I know.
happens to me.
I get all excited. I'm sorry.
So I would say that for small businesses, because I still am a small business owner, and what I would say to a lot, I think what it is, Jenny and Jeanette, is a lot of startups and small businesses, we tend to think small, and we're not we're not necessarily we're not necessarily looking at where we want to go in terms of vision and what are the opportunities that are out there for us, right? If we only added certain things to their strategy. And so a lot of small business owners, they are mostly like, I can barely pay the rent, or I can barely pay my employees. So how am I going to invest in PR? The other thing is a lot of small business owners do not think that they need it. And they also think that it's only for celebrities, it's only for the big companies like Apple and all of that. And in some ways they are right, because PR can be somewhat costly, but it depends on what you want, what stage of business you're at, if you're a startup, if you're expanding, et cetera, et cetera. And so they really don't pursue it. And they also just see it as something that's expensive. And I think what it really comes down to is a lot of small business owners do not understand what it does and the value it can add to their business.
Right.
And in addition to that, what I have found in my research is that they think that it's something really maybe massive or outside of what they can do in terms of maintaining it. And so a lot of small business owners don't kind of add it. But my approach is PR should be added as a part of your long-term growth strategy. So don't look at it as something that you just need to do to promote a particular product, but look at where you want to go. Where do you want to be in 3 years? If one of your goals is to position yourself or get more funding for your business or attract investors, then PR is right for you. And what you would then want to do is, what platforms should I be on where I would be in front of potential investors that would want to invest in my company, etc. So when I work with clients and companies, whether they're small or emergent, I ask them, what are your goals? And then I try to see how PR can make that happen for them. And then I also inform them that you have a story to tell. Think of the people in the local community or anywhere that would be inspired by your story. Maybe it's your founding story. Maybe it's the reason why you created your products and services. Maybe you had an aunt with breast cancer, and then it led you to creating a product for women who are survivors of breast cancer. And so what you want to do is, don't look at PR as this complicated, expensive thing. Just look at it as a way of, how can I share my story? And you want to start locally. So tap into your local market, like the local newspapers. They're always looking to talk to and promote local businesses. And that's a way that small businesses can approach or get into or add PR without spending a lot of money. So I talk to small businesses about that. What are your goals and what can we do? What are your resources? Let's start there.
Let's
And
start.
so that's usually my approach.
What are our goals? What are our
Sorry?
I said I'm going to try to answer that question. Jenny, what are our goals?
Yes.
Well, our beginning started that we just wanted to make more sales for each of our businesses.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to find a way to get myself out there, but also help other people. And so we've branched out to where it was just us doing the show into creating a channel, not just for women. It started just for women, but for us. But we have the same, no matter how big or small, or actually how much money you have, you all have the same issue. You got to get yourself out there some way, so people know what you do. If you sell the most marvelous product, like the most marvelous product in the world, and it'll save everybody's lives, and it won't cost any money, as long as it sits in front of you and it doesn't get out, it does no good. And so a lot of small businesses tend to not feel that that's an important thing to get your name and your recognition. They don't want to know it. They don't want to be around it. So
Yeah.
Our vision is, so like if I told you what my vision is, you guys, they'd all laugh and my family would go, ah. But I can see the potential. I can see our potential.
Very, very potential. I see it. I think our next question was, where do you see yourself in 5 years, right? So where do we see ourselves in 5 years?
Oh gosh, Jeanette and I have so many things, and
I know it's not retired. That's one thing.
I know. I mean, like Amore, when you went from your, you got laid off, and then you were doing basically freelance work, right? Kind of do extra PR and marketing for the people. Then you went to your own business. So another thing, I just segued off this. Marketing and PR, people think they're the same things, but they're really not. Correct? Am I correct? So can you explain that a little bit, and then I'll go back to what I was saying before, because I think this is an important part. People think marketing and PR are the same thing.
Oh, that's good.
So yes, and they have overlap, so sometimes people not really understanding the difference will think that they're the same because there's some overlap there. And so marketing goes hand in hand with PR, right? They're both strategies or ways to support the growth and the awareness of the business. So whereas PR focuses on building trust and connecting and building brand awareness, right? So making that product or service, that product or service that people will look to when they need that product or service. And they do that through storytelling and positioning themselves as the experts or the best choice for that product. And then whereas with marketing, it's sort of getting people into the sales funnel. It's sort of building that awareness and saying, hey, look, this is the product we have and this is how it would benefit you. So that's more under with your advertising and things like that, your Facebook, your social media. So it's constantly saying, hey, look at me, I'm here. This is my product. This is what I have to offer. And PR complements that by saying, trust us. We are, we understand your needs. We know who you are. And this product, whether it's an Apple iPhone or what have you, is the best. So PR is sort of, it's really for building trust, right, with an audience. And it's really for building that brand awareness so that you become top of mind when someone is looking for your service or your product. So we all know who Amazon is. We all know who Apple is. We know who they are because PR is a part of their strategy. Now, take, for instance, I'm going to mention Tesla, right? Tesla doesn't spend money on advertising at all, right?
You don't have to.
And you know who Tesla is. Everyone knows who Tesla is. And there's, of course, PR, right? They don't spend money on advertising or PR or anything like that. But there's a way that they continuously tell their story. And PR is really about that. It's consistently telling the story of that brand, of that product, or of that service. And marketing complements that.
So that's very important for everybody because they always talk about branding yourself. That's like over the internet and social media, it's all about branding. But the buying public has to identify you and say, oh, I've heard them before. They may say they've heard a story and this story never existed. But it's in the psyche, or this company does this company does that. So the PR part, you can send your all of your marketing stuff, your buy this, go there, get this. But if the public or the person that's buying it doesn't say, wow, I've heard that was a good company, or I've heard good things about it, they're not going to jump.
Right.
It's a thing that we do as consumers. So when you go to the grocery store and you're in my favorite section, which is the chip section, and you see Doritos and you see Lay's chips or whatever they are, look at yourself which one you pick. Do you always
Yes.
pick the best one, or do you pick the one that you heard the most about? Right?
And the answer is the latter.
Exactly. And
Yes.
so there's always that's why companies like Taco Bell and On the Border are making their own chips now, because they have such recognition out in the public that they're going to try to challenge the big companies like Doritos and get it of that market share. So it's really important to make sure that you're not only marketing, but that you are putting yourself out there in a good light, what you're doing, and give people a little bit of
So I have a question.
Yes.
So if it was for us, like we're trying to let people know, hey, who's J&J? What would be one of the things that you would focus on for J&J?
So for J&J, depending on the target audience and the product or service, one of the best approaches could be that J&J, or both of you ladies, would position yourselves as experts or thought leaders in your industry, right? And so thought leadership positioning includes getting you on different stages, maybe a TED talk or a TEDx talk, or having you speak at local events, or relative relatable events in your local market. In addition to that, perhaps introducing you to your local media as business owners who are making a difference in the community. And so what will happen is that people will get to know you both as subject matter experts, as thought leaders in your industry. And that in and of itself would lead people to want to trust you, trust what you're doing, and see you as experts. And they would then support or buy from you based on that trust. If they're buying from you based on trust and the awareness that you built, you're now making a mental imprint in that person's psyche, and because they're now trusting you. And so then whatever it is that you do, they're not buying just because they saw a big shiny ad. They're buying because they trust Jenny and Jeanette. They've seen them as experts in the local media. They've seen them on stages talking about what they do. And so that is the difference, especially that is part of the power of PR. And for different companies or brands or what have you, the approach is different. So for both of you, based on your background, who you're trying to connect with, there might be a different approach. If it's just a brand or product, you may want to position that product through product placement, right? Getting that product featured on gift guides in, let's say, on O List. If they see your product on O List, they are immediately going to trust your product, right? So it's the positioning and having that product or service or that person or that thought leader be in the right spaces in front of the right audience at the right time. And you want to keep doing that consistently so that you build up that trust. I also want to say, think about the brands that we trust the most, right? Vaseline, Q-tips, right? We've grown up, and Q-tips is a cotton swab, but the brand Q-tip, we trust. We see it all the time, to where we're calling the cotton swab and any other cotton swab a Q-tip,
right,
when it's just a cotton swab. And when we think about shopping, we're going to think about Target, right? If we think about fast food, we're going to think about McDonald's, because those companies, they're also legacy brand because they've been around for a long time, but they got to where they are by consistently telling these stories and investing in storytelling, which is PR.
Did you? I think Jeanette had a question. Then I have another one, but if I can remember it.
Yeah.
Just answered it.
Oh,
she just answered it about Go ahead, Jeanette. I know you. I didn't want to interrupt you.
Is when you tell your story, basically the reason is because when I start thinking of what you do now that you say, because see, I stay quiet and I listen, and I that's how we learn, right? But if
Yes.
that tells me, okay, we need Amore Phillips over here to help us with telling people our story. The
Hmm.
story is unique. If you was to see how the beginning was when we met, it's an incredible story. Nobody would believe it. They're like, "What?"
Hmm.
People we haven't met and we've been doing this online. They're like, "What?" I mean, people. I love the reaction because they're like, "No way," because it's like, who said that we have to be in the same state? I mean, in today's world, we're in three different states. We're in New York,
Hmm.
Florida, she's in Texas, and we're all able to be in one platform sharing with the world about how to be successful in their business because we have a platform now. So
Hmm.
if I was a small company, and I'm bringing us because a lot of people will have that. I'm thinking for the local crafter, you just said to highlight their item and getting them in front of, and if it's a service, it's getting them in front of TED Talks and things like that. So
Hmm.
many times people have told Jenny and I, you two need to take this on the road. Is that a part of what you're talking about when it says PR?
Yeah. So taking your show, I think you're talking about, right? On the road, yeah, that would be a part of building brand awareness. So taking it on the road, meaning that you would be now in front of different markets who did not know about you, right?
Right.
And so one of the things that I think is unique about how you guys have built this platform and this business is that you're using and you're leveraging, let's say Zoom or online platforms to do so. And a part of your story could be how these two ladies built this, I'm just going to use multi-million-dollar business,
Mm,
virtually, or having who had never met each other in person, built a business virtually by just, online, right? And
Right.
so what your story can then do is give credence and power to a platform like Zoom. Because Zoom can then say, look at these two women who built this multi-million-dollar, national company using Zoom. And this is the power of Zoom,
Yep.
right? So,
That's
so
actually very good because
yeah.
most people think of Zoom as kind of
Mhm.
a boring office kind of, like I've got
Yes.
to do a Zoom meeting or whatever.
Mhm.
We're using the technique of Zoom to
Right.
actually create an atmosphere for
Right.
other people to bring their businesses to the forefront. So
Mhm.
you always got to kind of tweak stuff, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
And so I mentioned I use that as an example because what that then means, right? If you guys are looking to really, you're looking for a potential sponsor partner, you have a story for Zoom.
Yep.
Zoom could be a partner for you because you've built a business on it, right? And
Yep.
so you can be a great case study for Zoom because, like you said, I got tired of Zoom, right? After COVID happened,
Right.
you're meeting on Zoom and you're not meeting people in person. I really miss that connection. I'm a Gen Xer, and I don't know, I think you guys probably are too.
Mhm.
But I really miss because I had never, prior to COVID, never really worked in a virtual setting, right? Because when I was growing up, you had to be in the office. That's how we worked.
Yep.
And so with COVID, I really didn't know. I was resilient or I resisted it for the first couple of months of COVID. I was like, I'm not doing it. I'm not meeting online. I'm not doing this. But I had to. And so I made it work to where it even helped me strategize and better um, work on the structure of my business internally from using Zoom. So a part of PR and PR strategy would be to look for the story and who is the best partner for that story, right? That you're telling. And as I mentioned, perhaps getting a sponsor or a partner to take your show or your platform on the road. because you've built a business on Zoom, Zoom is the perfect partner for you. Why? Because it makes sense, right?
Yeah.
And it's authentic. And what your story will do is it will show other people who want to start businesses that you can be in Australia and you can be in Canada and you can build a successful business.
Yep. Yep.
I've never thought about that. My eyes have just like, I never thought about that. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean that when we interview people, we just don't invite crafters. We invite people that think like crafters because, you don't think about our mind is like so different, and it's actually a great tool to have purpose and think outside the box.
Yeah.
So and that to me is and I take it and I claim it. The multi-million-dollar company,
Yes.
and I was taking it and I was claiming it in the name because I was, and I say, yeah, I'll take it. We're a multi-million-dollar. I'll take it.
I wish crafters and artisans, because they get so into their product making
Yeah.
that they don't think down the road. Like
Right.
they're just in the moment. And we have so many amazing people in this country, actually the world, that have so many skills and talents and are so blessed, but they don't think of it that way, and they don't think that they should or could do a business in that. And so I'm hoping that they will take from this how important PR is to their business. And I was going to really quick ask you because I know we're going to have to go, but when people do things like local Toastmaster things, join organizations that have, women's groups or men's groups, stuff like that, do you think those are as helpful as, say, trying to get local media or with sponsoring? Like if you say you sell dog cookies, and you go to your local vet and you say, look, I'd love to sponsor something for you guys and work with them for like animal shelters or something. Are both those techniques something that they could use to help?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And so with the local type of part of it is that I always tell small businesses to start local, to start within your immediate network. And Toastmasters is a great platform for anyone that's looking to position themselves as thought leaders. You want to start speaking as much as you can within your local communities or within the chamber to prepare you for, bigger opportunities. And that would be a part of, so we would look at, like, let's say I was doing an assessment. And remember, I said the first thing that we want to do, we want to understand from the client is, are you looking to grow? If you're looking to grow and you tell us, yes, you're looking to grow, we understand. We then, communicate that this is a long-term thing. This is a marathon. It's not a sprint. Whereas a lot of companies, they come in, they're looking for immediate results. Everyone wants to get in the New York Times or get in Oprah magazine tomorrow. And we say that's not the game here that we're playing. You will get there if that is a place you're supposed to be. But we always want to really understand if the clients are really looking to grow and what their objectives and growth goals are. And then we say, okay, because this is your vision or these are your goals and you do want to grow, these are the things we can do, or these are the best strategies or tactics for you, right? And so for both of you, I see thought leadership positioning, right? That's one thing that I would, that I would present as how we could best increase your awareness, get you in front of a larger audience, so that you can show people that businesses can be built by people who have never met, right? And continue to share that story. So your story needs to be much bigger than your product or service. So for example, let's think about, if we thought about Rolls Royce. Rolls Royce does not sell cars. They sell legacy. They sell luxury. They sell what the car says, right? Or you could just get a Honda and it will get you the same place, I promise you. So we have to think, and you have to really tap into people's wants, their needs, and what is important to them emotionally. And
Don't
so that's one of the
don't they
best.
have to know their product? Like,
Sorry?
do you think that enough small business owners actually know their product? Like,
No.
yeah.
They don't know their product and they don't know their target audience. Because when I started, I was just trying to get in front of everybody, right? And that led to a whole lot of not so good things, but a lot of lessons learned. Everyone is not your client or your customer. And that's one of the big things that we have to get through our heads as small business owners, including myself. What you're looking for is a group of people that need your products and services that you can really help. And if you help that small group of people, they will become your cheerleaders. They will become your biggest advocates. And when you make that connection with that audience or those audiences, you're winning, let's say, right? So a lot of us, we don't know who our target audience is. We haven't tapped into that, and we don't really know. We're selling our product as opposed to what it does for the person or the difference. Yeah. So add value. That's one of the things I will say. Look to add value.
I've learned so much, and I'm like, it's really amazing. You have a lot of knowledge, and God bless you for that, because that not
Thank
many
you.
can know. People just don't know what they don't know. They don't know, and they wonder why they're not getting out there. That's why we need so many experts in their field to be able to help us and know who to go to. So, Phillips, thank you so much for sharing that knowledge, because it makes me think that there is hope for everyone. Especially if you're helping crafters that, I mean, what would you tell crafters that really, they're probably listening to this and they're going, man, I'd love to hire her, but man, I don't think I can afford it. I mean, does she the payments? What do we do? So what would you say to those crafters that, no, and I'm being real. This is a
No,
real,
it's just true. It's like that's what
it's
they're
true.
thinking.
Like I'm sitting here thinking as a crafter now, not as J and J, but I'm thinking now, like when I was doing my little class, I'm thinking, man, how do I get to know her? Like, how much is this gonna be? Like, can I afford you? So how would you answer that to a crafter right now that's thinking those thoughts?
Sure. So me as a small business owner, I work with I work with companies, founders, and clients by trying to meet them where they are. And I try to understand what their needs are, and if they are ready for a PR. If they're not, because sometimes there are things that they need to do, and I will help them get there and give them advice on that. So we work with clients, companies, and brands also on a consultancy basis. So we have affordable hourly rates to where we can say, okay, you can, if you have you can afford a couple of hours per month, we can give you these things. We can give you a basic plan of a couple things that you can do per month. We can help you figure out what would be the best tactics for you. If you have an intern or an assistant, we can create something for you that an assistant can do. And all you would need us for is maybe a monthly 1 hour strategy call that you can afford. And as you see that what we're doing for you is adding value, you're going to sell more product and then you can invest more as you go. So we have what we call a scalable model to where you can start where you are with just a couple of hours of consulting per month or a one-off service, or we can help you on a specific project. And then as you grow, you can then become a monthly retainer client. So businesses are growing and we want to grow with you. So we make it affordable to you and we provide you with options. So we have a DIY PR program and we have a grow and expand consultancy package to where a company can work with us for just a couple hours a week and get the advice that they need.
Wow, that is
Tell me real quick about the apples and oranges name.
Mm-hmm. So apples and oranges.
Well, you're comparing apples to oranges.
Yeah, that's exactly part of what it was. And also, yeah, so when I was coming up with the name, I originally started to, my goal was I wanted to really work with food and beverage founders that I wanted to help them get excited about the reason why they started their businesses and the type of food that they sell and how food brings people together. And so I like the color red and orange because if you notice a lot of food brands, they use those two colors because they're bright, they're exciting, and so I didn't want to call the company red and orange. And then the person I was working with at the time, we talked about is like comparing apples to oranges. And that's where it pretty much came from.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so that's where it came from.
That's awesome.
Good. Well, I'm going to give
people how they can find you before we.
Yes, please.
Sure. So you can find me on LinkedIn. That's where I spend most of my time in terms of social media. I'm also on Instagram and Twitter. So you can find me under Amore Phillip, at Amore Phillip on Instagram. And you can find me by searching Amore Phillip on LinkedIn as well and on Twitter as well. And for those of you who are watching today, please do reach out to me. And, I will, on behalf of Jenny and Jeanette, I would like to offer you a 1-hour consultation to talk about what we can do for your business. So only for the people watching today.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much. That is excellent. We have viewers out here. If you have some questions, please drop them in the comment box. Go ahead and while we wait for the comment box, I'm gonna drop my word of the day.
So what I will do for all the crafters and everybody else watching is I will send Jenny and Jeanette that link and just the description of what they can walk away with in that. We call it a one-on-one advisory session, and there is a cost for it. But for those of you who watch today, we will send a code to Jenny and Jeanette to where that will be complimentary to you.
That's awesome.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Awesome.
Going on that note, today this is a very interesting title. Are you argumentative or peaceful?
I am peaceful.
She's peaceful.
Yes.
I think when you're doing business, you have to not be argumentative. You have to be you do have to be peaceful, but you have to make sure that you're solid.
Yeah, you need a balance, right?
Well, well, let's see what the word has to say about that. Okay. A continual dripping on every rainy day and a contentious woman are alike. Whoever restrains her restrains the wind and gas oil with his right hand. Proverbs 4:10. That actually doesn't answer the question, but going down here it says Proverbs for having God-centered life. The key verses to these points as well as understanding the seriousness of continuous life. The New Century Version uses the word swirling place continuing. What is the first thing you say to your husband each morning? The last thing you discuss at night? Are you affirming him for a hard day's work or posturing him about the chores that remain undone? Do you greet him with a hug or a kiss or with a list of complaints? Take note of this Proverbs warning. No man wants to make his home with a contentious woman. Trying to change this trait in a woman is like attempting to hold back the wind or hold oil in one's hand. Next time you start to pick a fight, hold your tongue. Find a way to praise your husband or wife. Instead, see the difference this makes in your marriage and business.
Nice.
Take from it, I always take it and I change it into the business point of view. If you got a customer that comes to you and say, hey, I got this little car from you, but it's broken. Are you going to say, well, why are you coming back now? Or are you going to say, let me fix that for you and see what we can do and how can I compensate you for this little mishap on this little car? Which one would you do? Come back tomorrow, or will you go to them extra miles so they can come back and know that you're a caring, loving person?
I will come back. I will
Yep.
come back,
There
and
you go. And
yes, because they are in business and they are human beings and they can make mistakes. And I'm sure a lot of their customers are happy. And the ones that there is an issue with, they will do their best to make it right. And I would do my best to participate so they can help me, so I can build a relationship with them, because it's all about relationships.
right,
You know, that I know who I can trust with my car whenever I have a problem.
right. That's exactly
Yeah.
right. Well, on those notes,
You never want to be known as a business, in a business, as being argumentative.
Right.
For yourself, I mean, there are customers that are going to be not, you know, truthful, or there's something happened, and you just got to have a little patience, because almost all of them, they're probably not even irritated about you. They're irritated about the thing before, and you settle them down and you say, okay, what can I do to help you? It changes the dynamic, is what you want.
Yes.
You don't want anybody to go away from your business if you can help it.
right.
And that's part of putting your business out there and making sure that people understand that you're doing your best, and hopefully you can remedy the situation.
Okay.
And I think too, in those situations too, I think it presents an opportunity for you to learn and grow. Whenever you have the mistakes and things like that, that's what I've gathered from it.
Yeah, it is. And that's why I always like the word, because it does open discussions on what we can do to help people. Well, we go ahead and go into commercials, and then we'll be right back to say our goodbyes and one last thought for Amore to tell us on our business. So I'll be right back.
I don't have to do anything, right?
Yep, we'll be right back. back.
commercials were.
Welcome back.
Did you like our commercials?
I was like, wow, that was impressive. I
Thanks.
said the movie night thing. What's that? The movie night.
Oh, I'm glad you asked. Well, in every Friday night at 8 o'clock, we bring movies from 1940s to 1930s on our channel. So you can
Wow.
bring your popcorn, bring your candy and everything else, and enjoy a movie on us. And that's what that is about.
That's nice. I love that. I love that. And I saw this. So, what was it called?
Society.
Yeah, that was my commercial. Do you like it?
Yeah, I saw all the
You might want to hire me one day if I need another job. But that's a really that's the company I was telling you about. Nice Kid.
Oh yes.
And his platform is you can sell anything on it. It's just trying to get away from the big guy and getting up there. He's got a good SEO program, and he takes everybody on and loads them up, gets them all set, and he only takes a fee when something sells. So
that makes sense.
And I love that because 10% is nothing, and when you say you actually don't pay anything for the store, the platform, the setup, nothing. And when your stuff sells, she sold the book already.
I did. I sold the book.
Wow, nice.
Because we haven't even marketed you yet. So again, we're trying to get people to see what you're seeing at another through another window. But there's so many artists and artisans. My son is an artist. Her son's an artist, and they don't see past their work. And we're trying to get them. To see. And the channel came in because our viewers. We are a channel, so we're not just a YouTube section. We 24/7. And when we're talking about programming, we want people to enjoy it. We want people to. There's not a lot of places that you can watch that are like. We got enough news. We got bad news all over the place. There's plenty of it. We got a place where your kids can watch cartoons, or parents can just sit back and enjoy an old movie that they haven't seen in forever. And that way, when they see our channel, then they'll start looking at our vendors and our talent and our other businesses to grow our viewership. So that was the point of doing that. And Friday night, we all used to go to the movies and sit down and have some time with our family. And we thought that would be a good thing to start again.
And it's worked, and we really like it because I text Jenny all the time, even though she's not like next to me. It's like we're eating popcorn at the same time. So I said, "Did you believe the hat on that man?" Old fashioned. We start comparing, like, "Oh, I remember when every man wore a suit. I think that was so elegant, And it was
the way they dressed back then too, right?
Yeah.
I love that era when it comes to dress, and they were always so presentable, and they were in their suits, and you had the ladies with the dresses, where it was, it flares out at the bottom. That seemed like a great era.
Yeah.
Everything was just so classy, right?
Yeah.
It was,
and that's what we thought. It was something different. People, like I said, you can
enjoying it. We get our most views on Friday nights. It's like get that spike going on. I'm like,
awesome.
People they love all of that. They love to have, an opportunity to sit down and look at something different. And then we have a news program that we say, there's no news here. It's just crafting news, but really no news. Fun. We have that, and we love that show because people they're liking it. They like the fact that, okay, this is news, but we say no news is good news. So that's why it's no
news. No news is good news.
Stir it up and give something that I've noticed that we're missing in this world. And I know everybody wants to stop and watch the ambulance, but I think people get a little fatigued, and once they get home, they want to just, see people. And the other thing is that we are real people. We aren't a celebrity. We're not people that, we've all done do-it-yourself, shows and cooking shows and things like that. We're just, the people we have are real people. They're just people that are out there making stuff out of nothing. sometimes.
Yeah.
And
How about the beaver guy? We have a guy who he actually has a beaver dam. Real beavers come and
Oh,
dam
so
and
wild.
flood. So what he decided to do, he has free labor. He don't, he realizes, and he told them, you realize you have free labor. He goes in there, takes the wood that they have chewed up and broken, breaks down the dam, and makes products out of it. He does coat hangers,
wow.
handle holders, walking sticks, coat hang. I mean,
He said no overhead at all.
Talk about recycling.
he had no nothing. And every week he has a pile of wood because the beavers are working for him.
Wow. So the beavers are his employees.
That's what I'm saying. I say he don't gotta pay benefits. You don't even gotta get him a salary. That's what I'm saying.
That sounds good to me.
Yep, absolutely. Okay. So any last words, Miss Phillips, to our audience on anything you want to share with them?
So I would like to share that if you are in business, you're a small business owner, founder, etc., and the going gets tough, always remember your big why as to why you started your business. And let that drive you through all the ups and downs in business, because that's kind of what drives me on a day-to-day basis, right? And so in terms of PR, everything is within reach, right? You don't have to do things the traditional way. You don't need to have a big retainer. For some agencies, yes. And also with us, yes, you do. But there are also options. So don't cheat yourself out of something because you think that there's no opportunity for you. You can't afford it. Ask, right? Right, always ask. And sometimes there's some people who come to me and I really love their product and what they're doing, and so I find a way to make it work with them. Right, so if someone finds value in what you're doing, your product, service, etc., you could find a way to make things work. Because think about, you want to go forward, and don't say I can't afford PR, so I'm not even going to ask. Say, listen, this is who we are, this is what we have, this is what we can afford. What can you do for us for this? And that's my best advice. And also leverage your local media. They want to talk to you, right? There's Small Business Saturdays and Small Business Month, right? So during that month, reach out to your local, the person who does the business news on the local channel and say, hey, my name is so and so. I have a small business here in the neighborhood. I bake cakes. And are you looking for any small business owners to highlight on your programs? I'm available as an expert. And that's PR right there, right? So it is available to you. So just think outside of the box a little bit, and never think that you can't afford or do something. Always ask before you void yourself of an opportunity.
Thank you so much.
Always say yes.
Yes.
Got a couple of seconds
Look
left.
for yes.
Yes. Always say yes. I said yes, and look where I landed with.
I know. She got stuck with me.
Yeah.
Okay. So thank you so much, Miss Phillip, for joining us today. We love the wisdom. And Jenny, any last words in a couple of seconds?
No, I'm so thankful you came onto the show. I thought you brought so much to our audience, and we look forward to doing some stuff with you, see what happens.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
I'm very happy that you showed up, and we appreciate you so much. Thank you.
All
Thank
right.
you so much, and thank you to your wonderful, amazing audience. And I will follow up with Jenny and Jeanette. And thank you so much again for taking the time out to listen to me today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
So
Amore.
I'll press the button. You press the button. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do?
What am I gonna do?
Hurry up! Press the button.
I'm going. Don't push me. Bye.